Alright, hey, how's everybody doing? I hope you're doing okay. It is Friday. It's a little bit after noon, after 12 noon. I wanted to come on and I wanted to talk to you about a few things and talk to you about logic and reason and responsibility. Alright? Now this lesson is more for the mature. Immature people will not understand. This is more for the older people. Alright? Now I want to read a letter to you. We're going to start with reading a letter. Alright, so that's what it sounds like now, since I don't have carpet. Okay. How do I do this? It is from a person, and, this isn't a made up person, this isn't a made up letter, it's from a person, and he says this, and I'm gonna say this is why I always tell you, if you watch these videos, watch with your significant other. If you're married, watch with your partner, watch with your wife, watch with your husband. If you're dating, watch with that person. If you're making babies with someone and you have not bound your lives together legally as well, you should be watching with that person. If you live with people that are in your family, you should be watching with that person, even if you don't have an intimate relationship on that level. If you live with your dad, you should probably be watching with him, so you guys have the same beliefs, same goals. You live in your household for a reason. If you live with your mom, if you live with your grandma, it would help, because then you have the same goals, the same agenda. That way, if you're trying to honor the Sabbath, they're trying to honor the Sabbath. So me and my household are on the same level. So it's Friday and everybody's doing everything they can so that they can rest tomorrow. Since our enemy who enslaved us, we don't go around picking our enemies. Our enemies picked us. Our enemy who enslaved us chose Sunday and chooses to push Sunday law. So we will, my household, we will honor, 7-day, and until we're out in a tent that we can study in the stars, then we will honor, as Enoch is trying to show. And I'm just talking about me and my household. Okay, it says, hey Lex, short time listener here, but my wife follows a lot of your videos. Alright, and that's why I tell you all the time, gotta watch. It's better to watch together. Then you both learn the same thing. He says, at this point, with all the people on YouTube spreading everything under the sun, remember the Bible says all knowledge will be released in the last days, right? With all people on YouTube spreading everything under the sun, I feel the need to ask a few questions. My wife and I are at... Oh, this is hard because I don't want it to go too far up. Doesn't look too far down, huh? My wife and I are at odds over the Messiah. Okay, that's clear. We clash over this, a lot over this. As the leader of my household, it's respectful, I feel responsible to test all things and prove what is true. Right on. He says, you have a lot of mind-blowing information. I understand people feel that way. But the thing is I don't have the information. You got to understand, I don't have the information. The information is hidden today from the past. As I release it, I fulfill a quote. Not a prophecy, a quote. The quote is, "He who controls the past controls the future." Now that I'm controlling the past in my mind and in your minds, I can sculpt the future for us. Listen, man, this is honestly what it is. People are saying right now, the quote is, "It is what it is." Bull crap. It is what we make it. If you get up and make toast, and you sit down and say, and somebody says, toast, you go, what? It is what it is. It's toast. If you get up and make a big breakfast, and somebody comes in and says, and you got some for them, and they go, "Wow, big breakfast." Nobody goes, "It is what it is." There's too much excitement. People say, "It is what it is," for bad things. We didn't prepare, or we didn't blah, 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 so it is what it is. So it says, you have a lot of mind-blowing information. The only test is what you say to be true. Okay? You carry some beliefs a lot of people don't have. I understand that. But a lot of people do have the beliefs I have. They're written, for the most part, in the Old Testament. Now, here's the thing. Literally, a lot of people carry in their hand the same beliefs that I do. They just don't carry them in their mind. Meaning they haven't read and accepted what the Old Testament says. See, brother, you said you're the leader of your household. If thy creator is the leader of heaven in his household, then he got rules. His rules is in the Old Testament. There's not one rule told to you in the New Testament. That's why I'm telling you, the Old Testament is the testimony. The New Testament is a test. The Old Testament, the first thing the Ten Commandments say, no other God. First thing New Testament say, there's another God. See the controversy there? Listen, brother, you say you're the leader of your household. If you say to your household, I don't want any men in my house when I'm away at work, that's what you say. If I come and knock on your door, your family doesn't see me on TV. Y'all don't watch me like a TV show. If I come to your house and you're at work and they let me in, they done broke your first freaking rule, haven't they? No men in my house when I'm not here. And they just let me in. Well, it's not a man, it's lexwill. That's the same thing that the Christians and Catholics try to say to you about Jesus. What's the Son of God? No, I'm not comparing myself to the Son of God. I'm just equating something that you can understand. I'm not, two separate things. Get what I'm saying? Let's say you love Farrakhan, but you still lay down that rule at your house. No men in my house when I'm gone. And you go away. You go away to work. Even if you've talked to your wife. Let's say your son answers the door. And he like, oh wow, it's Farrakhan. We've been watching you for years. Come on in, sir. The excitement of this has pushed all your rules aside. The excitement of Jesus Christ and his warriors coming and putting swords to our throats, hanging us from trees, tying us to posts and beating us for days in front of everybody, day and night, getting drunk and switching people that hold the whip. This has forced you to love Jesus. God's Messiah is a destroyer that's going to come and destroy wickedness. You get what I'm saying? And they done turned it into loving Jesus Christ. The most important words of Jesus: I have not come as your friend. I've come to destroy your home. I've come to bring division. I've come to divide your mind. I'm sorry that's misquoted, but in those words you can understand what the scripture says, right? Right. I've come to bring a sword. Now, he states, has God told you the Messiah has not came and Yahshua is a lie? First off, man, who is Yahshua? Okay? Secondly, there's no evidence that Jesus lived. There's evidence James lived. There's evidence Jude lived. There's no evidence Jesus lived. Jude tells you himself his mother Mary only had 2 children. Well, how is Jude and James brothers, but they got a third brother named Jesus? Brother, if you study outside of the Bible, the historians that have written books for you to be wise for, they've already expressed that James is Jesus. But brother, you're not listening. Them that say they are Jews and are not, the ones that first moved onto our soil during Roman times, the Sumerians, they call themselves the Ashkenazi today. They wrote themselves about somebody called Monobaeus, that was an Edomite king of a place called Edessa. You can pronounce it with an E, or you can pronounce it with an O for Odessa. His name was Monobaeus. He was Hebrew, but he was not an Israelite. He was an Edomite. And he gave his fortune to the Israelites once the Romans took the gold from the holy temple. Do you understand that? The Romans took everything, the candles, the plates, everything from the holy temple. And Monobaeus took his finances and replenished it. You don't hear about this in the Bible, because the New Testament is a fucking fairy tale written for the slaves. Hence I teach you that men came over in the name of King James to take the land from you when they knew you were the Israelites. But brother, y'all not listening. You hold the King James version over the Old Testament. Books are written from left to right in English, and for some reason all these black people skip over the beginning of the book. They only look at the table of contents to memorize the Old Testament, the order of the names. I can't help the way that you are built to worship. I'm trying to tell you where to read to worship. I can't keep telling everybody go to the Old Testament and then they just give up. I can't help that you read half a chapter and fall asleep. That's like doing push-ups and giving up. You got to do it the next day and the next day. You got to fight yourself. And this is why I say we need to go in the desert. Ain't no TVs in the fucking desert. Excuse me for those that don't want to hear no cussing, but it's necessary to reach you, and you just don't think that. Just like when I tell you to read the Old Testament for your salvation, you just don't think that. It's not about what you want to do. If it was, you would not be in this condition. live a pretty not great life. It ain't horrible, but it ain't that great. I got so much free time. I could be doing anything to make more cheese, more bread, more money. And this is what I do with my free time. Because I'm trying to wake you up. Hey, let's play a game. Let's play a game. If y'all think I'm a prophet, I'm trying to tell you I'm not. I'm trying to tell you the prophets. If y'all think I'm the Messiah, I'm trying to tell you I'm not. You the Messiahs. God gonna tell us who the human king gonna be. I can say 1,000 times I'm king. I can say 1,000 times I'm a prophet. I can say 1,000 times I'm the Messiah. The Most High will show us otherwise. That's why I only try to show you through the scripture. Everybody's lied to us. Why the hell would I want to lie to you now? I don't need an army to dig in the desert. I need a shovel to dig in the desert. I don't need a people group to live in the desert. I need a people group to live as a tribe. I want to keep reading this. I'm sorry that I always interject and stuff like that. You know, I mean, it'd be nice if I read it straight out and then interjected afterwards, but blah, 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 blah. I'm sorry. It's just the way it is. Okay. He says, has God told you, the Messiah? Now, I like how you capitalize Yeshaya, like you have respect for this thing that has no proof of existence, but you don't capitalize God. See, it's easy to psychoanalyze your writing. Look, you respect Moses, but you don't respect God. You have the same problem that most men have. Now, I'm not insulting you, brother. And if you don't feel like you have that, you know, you can debate that or argue, whatever. We have a problem with things we can't see. If you don't see your cash in your wallet, where's my money? The problem is we can't physically see God, so we don't trust that He exists. Look, I don't know how to get you to believe God exists. And don't tell me, and don't argue in your head while you're watching this, I do believe God exists. We believe in Jesus existing because people told us. It's because we say other people have seen Him. Listen, the Creator exists. Our ancestors saw the Creator. He is real. We must honor and respect Him. The New Testament tells you sit back and wait for this Messiah to come and destroy everything, to destroy the evil, so Judgment Day can happen. The New Testament tells you that. The Old Testament says there's going to be a king and he's going to pass clean judgment. Let me get this Bible for you. When I give this chapter and verse, you pause everybody pause the video when I give this, and you read it right along with me. Everybody, here first, let's go to Jeremiah 31 and 31. Ready? Behold, the days come, saith the Lord, that I will make a new covenant with the house of Israel Did Jesus do that? Brother, we're waiting for this. And with the house of Judah, not according to the covenant I made with their fathers in that day I took them out of the hand, by hand, to bring them out of the land of Egypt. That was Moses' covenant. Do you understand that? Didn't Moses carry the Ark of the Covenant when he did that? Now, everybody stop there. Let me get this other one. Give me 1 second. Everybody turn to Jeremiah 23. Now, everybody's waiting for this Messiah to come and destroy the world, to fix it, right? But this is what the Old Testament says. This is what the prophets, the mouth of God, actually said. Jeremiah 23:5. Behold, the days come, saith the Lord, that I will raise unto David a righteous branch, and a king shall reign and prosper, and shall execute judgment and justice in the earth. It doesn't say all one nation, but it's got to start somewhere. It doesn't say he's going to come and destroy everything. He says execute judgment and justice. See, you've been lied to. You've got to read these prophets, these mouthpieces of the Lord. This is why everybody's reading. I don't have no edge on nobody. I've been reading the Old Testament and praying to higher. To higher. I've been smoking mad weed to regain my sanity, because living in the cities have turned me insane. Because you guys, all of the people in each city is insane. They didn't give away all their rights, all the knowledge that they've gained over thousands of years. They gave it away. Very few people know how to make butter. Every woman, almost every woman knows how to make a pie, but very few women know how to get the ingredients for a pie other than going to the store. We've lost everything. I want to go out to the desert so we can reclaim some basics. Listen, has God revealed the body of Moses in the desert? Man, are you reading this Deuteronomy? It says it's still there. Listen, Deuteronomy 34:6, and he buried him in a valley in the land of Moab, over against Beth Peor. But no man knoweth of his sepulchre unto this day. That means nobody's found it yet. In the Old Testament, they tell you no man knoweth unto this day. Not until this day, unto this day. That means still. Didn't they say that about the body of Lot's wife? That means out there we can find the body of Lot's wife. No, it means we can, if we work together as a team and mobilize as a tribe. These are things we can do as activities. We need to go out there and cleanse ourselves, to learn how to think right, to be set on a righteous path. We are on a self-destructive course. We need to correct ourselves. We need to separate and correct ourselves. It says, as God reveals the body of Moses in the Moab desert, or is this what you have concluded from your research? This is what I've concluded from my research, sir. I will highlight this so nobody is confused. This is what I have concluded from my research. If you say God has revealed it unto you, then it is inevitable. Your search for the body of Moses must turn up results. I hear and understand you. But again, this is from my research. Now, one time, everybody said, this is what God has said. There are clues. We are to amass as a body. We are to amass as one. We ought to cleanse ourselves and then we leave. That's not taking a fucking, excuse me, that's not taking a bath. That's us working together and seeking out the animals for sacrifice on holy days. That's us living together, not killing each other. That's us teaching each other. That's the people that know Hebrew teaching us Hebrew. That's the people that know how to fish and use nets and make nets out of our own hair or whatever it takes. That's us teaching each other how to do that. That don't happen in like a 2-week camp. That don't happen in 6 months. That can't happen in a national park. We got to go somewhere where nobody's going to bother us. We got to go somewhere that's not part of the tour that's going on down there. We got to go out there and amass and teach ourselves who we were, so that way when they come to serve us papers, we can go to court with the evidence to say this is ours. We live separate. We got all this technology and nobody is working together to claim anything. I sat and I prayed. I sat and I prayed. I said something in the nature of, I need assistance in seeing if I should fight this legally. I need to understand what we should do. When I was done praying, the second I said Selah, the garbage can fell over outside. It was the recycling bin. There was only one cup in there. In the cup, it had one word that stood out. It said crunch, but the words that pointed at me said run. R-U-N. I could barely see the CH at the end. I could barely see the CH at the beginning. I mean the C at the beginning. It said crunch something something, and all that made sense was the R-U-N. It said run. R-U-N. And if you understand that, it's a little confusing. Because run means move your 2 feet. Yet if I ask for legal help, or where do I take my legal battle, the letters that make sense is R, one word, ARE, U.N, United Nations. Now that's very interesting. Now one means run out there, and one means go to the UN and fight your fight. Now here's the thing. Ooh. Somebody asked me, does God talk to me? This guy's asking me, does God talk to me? I do not hear voices. I do not feel God talks to me. From the writings in the Old Testament, I don't feel God talks to anybody. He doesn't go both ways on this thing. I think he gives us messages. I think he gives us messages in daydreams or flashes or controllable thoughts. It starts this way, and then what would you do if this situation happens? I think God talks to us that way. Or me. And others like me. I think God gives messages to other people. Excuse me, I don't think God talks to us that way. I think God gives messages, or has our messengers speak to us that way. I think God speaks to other people through dreams, because I don't have many dreams. And the ones I do, I don't want to talk about. When I do have them and they're worth sharing, I share. I had a dream, and it was more like an introduction. I saw, everybody knows, most of you know what Dragon Ball Z is. I saw something that looks like Cell, but it didn't have the head of Cell. And it didn't look like a cartoon, it looked like it was a flesh. And it was very brief. And on one side was green, and on the other side was destruction. That's why I say I just felt, I didn't see him destroying anything, I just saw it. It was male, and it had wings and everything, and weird skin that was green and speckled. But it was a dream. You know? So that's why I don't share dreams. They don't mean anything, really. You know, it's not a series of events. It's more like introductions. So, look, this is why I say I don't think God talks to anybody, because that's what the scripture says. We have messengers. We have the spirit that's attached to us. And then we have messengers that comes in. And it's hard to tell which one's talking. So it's always a test. Because, look, if you're having thoughts about sex, and you have a husband or a wife at home, then which one of these is initiating the conversation? The thoughts. Let's say a woman walks by, and you look up at her, and you initiate those thoughts. That's you. Let's say you're sitting there and you're working, and there's no woman. And you start getting thoughts about sex. That's something influencing you. So just keep this in mind. Because this is how our mind works, and this is the power that these things are allowed to play on us. We have to fight these thoughts. We honestly do. We can't sit there and daydream about sex and lust. Because the minute nobody's looking in the flesh, we're going to seize the day. We're going to carpe diem. And they're going to look at us like, et tu, Brute? Really, you two? So we've got to sculpt ourselves better, especially the older people, because if people do come out to the desert, they're going to need role models other than basketball stars and drug dealers. You know, let's get back to this. If you say God has revealed it to you, then it is inevitable in your search the body of Moses must turn up results. It says, if you say God told you this and don't find the body, then would you agree that you would have to a false teacher and should not be followed any longer? Well, again, man, you can say whatever you want, and you can view whoever you want. When I say take your family out into the desert, or when I say bring your family out into the desert's dangerous. It's no daycare center. People die out there. People die out there doing stupid shit. People die out there accidentally getting lost. People die out there innocently by insects and animals. So, you need to really understand what you're saying. And you need to really understand what I'm saying. Like, if you feel Jesus is going to protect you, then you can do whatever. You can go to the moon. You can be an astronaut. But if I feel like the Most High is going to protect me amongst His creation, then I'm not worried about that. I understand water predicaments and situations. We need to be able to overcome this. We're supposed to mount on a journey that's going to be thousands of miles, and we're doing it by foot. We're going from one desert to another desert, and we might not cross water for a while. So mounting up in the desert and living there for a few years is like calisthenics before the marathon. You need to read the Old Testament since you have so much faith in men over God. And I'm not saying this to insult you, because a lot of people have the same thoughts that you do. If you're straight with God and you worship God like everybody proclaims, then nothing should bother you. You should only be fearing God. You shouldn't be saying, the desert, no way. God allows them to rule in this system for us to be able to say this system is poisonous. It is the poison to us. So here, if you say God told you this and don't find the body, then would you agree that you would have to be a false teacher? No, I don't think that would make me a false teacher. That would make me a false prophet if I told you I spoke to God, which I've never told anyone. And I mainly state, if people tell you God talks to them, I don't believe they're telling you the truth. If you see videos of my words and twisted, you know they're twisting them. If you hear somebody say anything different, you know they're twisting my words. I've never said anything like that. I hope I never said anything like that. I'm sure I've used church terms, God this and God that, but it's usually when I'm reading and it says, and the Lord said. I really try to be on top of that. I am not trying to convince people to jump off a cliff. In fact, I'm trying to get you to go into a valley. Find our forefather. You know. He says, and should not be allowed, should not be followed any longer. Again, So he says, you know, if you go out there and you don't find the body, then you're a false teacher and you shouldn't be can we agree that you shouldn't be followed any longer? Well, yeah, that's in agreement, but I've never said I'm a prophet. I've never said I talk to God. For you to have that conclusion makes you someone that doesn't thoroughly listen. I've always stated this. Another thing that I've always stated is just because it says I've got close to 6,000 viewers, or I've got 6,000 viewers, that doesn't mean that they follow me. It means they watch my videos. It don't mean they get out there preaching with a gun, sword, and knife. It just means that they watched. It doesn't mean they watched the whole video. It means they clicked on, and from that point, who knows? It don't matter if they watch 10 seconds. Don't matter if they watch 15 seconds. It just gives me a count of 1. It don't mean they believe me. Don't you understand that? Or are you fooled by this delusion of society? Nobody's at my doorstep knocking, I want to be your disciple. That's a follower. You guys have been brainwashed into using different definitions to certain words, and you don't see it that way. You really don't. You want to live healthy, you watch a health video, and you've watched the video. You haven't changed your fucking life. Excuse me. You haven't changed your life at all. And you view that as you just viewed some health videos. And you follow what those people say. You haven't actively committed to making your life healthy. You've taken the word viewer and erased it and placed the word follower. Because when you set up your damn TVs, it says you are following this series on HMN. You are following this series on FX. You're watching every episode of the season on this or that. You're being brainwashed into watching other people's lives instead of watching movies, because movies are too expensive to make. And there's nothing new under the sun. They've run out of shit. Now listen. He states, as a believer in the Messiah and the New Testament. Oh man, listen. No offense. I don't care what you believe in. If you believe in the New Testament, you do not belong in the desert with the people that are preaching to the Creator only. You need to keep that Son of God belief in the cities where you will be destroyed. I'm telling you that straight up. And because you have not been watching, because you do not understand the New Testament is meant to trick you, your wife has a different opinion. And this is why you're writing. Your wife wants to bring her and the kids out into the desert, and you don't want to go. Because you think Jesus is going to come and save you. Black man, you are the white man's Jesus, and you do not know it. You are supposed to give them salvation. Don't you get it? The righteous come out of her, and they are gifted to go back into her and bring salvation. And as they preach, the ones that will be saved start coming out of the cities. Brother, do you want to be in the first wave that meets the Creator, or do you want to be in the second wave of the people that come to meet the Creator right before Judgment Day, when He shows us all of history at once? He tells us this in Isaiah. Isaiah chapter 43. Read the whole chapter. He keeps saying, you done forgot who created you. You waiting for this son of God, and the real God is saying, you forgot about me. Why would you forget about he who created you? Because you living on earth, and you living and dying by the sword and the bullet. You don't care enough about the Creator. You respect all these other people who have graves. Here's the funny thing, Jesus don't have no grave. If the Gentiles are really writing about you, and they're writing about some of the actions of different people in history at the time, then there wasn't no real Jesus back then. Listen, man, the Pope came to the United States to tell you to your face, broadcast through TV, Jesus failed on the cross. Wait, Jesus died for my sins on the cross. Listen, on Judgment Day, you're going to have to face God yourself. It's best to take the journey. It's best to mount up and take the journey and see salvation. And then spread salvation. Your Jesus ain't coming, for you are him. And this Messiah that you want, it's Emmanuel. And it's not the boy that's alive right now. The boy that's alive right now is the sign. When you want to heal people and you want to cast things out, you have to ask the Creator for permission to be able to call upon Emmanuel. You can't just pray to Emmanuel. It doesn't work like that. When I went and spent time with Gerald and I put my hands on Gerald, you can go online and find Gerald, I think it's Conway. Find Gerald Conway. He'll tell you, he'll witness to you himself what we did. We sat in there like it was a massage therapy, and I laid hands on him, read scripture in between. And we asked forgiveness for our forefathers. We ain't call on Jesus. They gave that man his death date. That was a year ago. They said you ain't gonna make it through November. I went to see him in late September. He called me in February saying he had a kidney transplant, months after they said he was gonna die. You guys think I'm playing with you. As a believer in the Messiah in the New Testament, go out and heal people, man. All throughout Mexico, they play with that Santeria shit. Go down there and let me see you evict a demon from a child. See, that's what you don't understand. It happens to the innocent. Old people, old wicked people do this to the innocent. And like I've taught you, we're going to go down there and collect our people out of the mountains. And like I've taught you, we will liberate on our way. But you're not hearing it because you're waiting for Jesus. It's cool, man. I understand. And trust me, man, I'm not mad at you. I don't know what you look like. I can't think of you personally because of the way I'm designed. I remember faces, not names. This is why I hate that people don't use pictures, yet I hate that people steal other people's pictures to hide their image, to keep their, you know what I mean, to keep themselves secret. As a believer in the Messiah in the New Testament, all I have is the example of the apostles to test the power of those who claim to be apostles, which which you're not. But also in the Old Testament, it talks about to know a true prophet is if what they prophesy comes true, then they are of God. Okay, again, you're talking about shit, you know. You know, you're mixing the Old Testament and the New Testament, and that's like mixing two wines into one bottle. They do not settle. They do not settle. I am not. There is no man over me. I call people for advice. Turns out more women than men. But nobody is over me. I take counsel from mainly black people. Two weeks ago, 2 black people called me on the same day talking about the Sabbath. 3 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago. Day before the Sabbath. When that happened, I pushed that right to you. That was as if my angel and their angels were linked up and they said, get this nigga talking about the Sabbath. 7 day, boy, 7 day. No fancy shit. Pow! I'm swimming back to this plain old work 6 days rest. No. It says, in the New, it will just separate those sentences. In the Old Testament, it talks about to know a true prophet is if what the prophecy comes true, then they are of God. No, man, check this out, man. I hear what you're saying. Please just don't try to affiliate me with no prophet. I'm not telling you no prophecy. The prophecies are already written. I can't tell you anything new. The most I can do is tell you how they link together chronologically and what it means to you and me, because we live in the same time. Listen, if the building's on fire and you're the first to see it, do you run out of the building or do you tell everybody else it's a fire? Don't even think that there's a fire alarm. Stop thinking that there's a fire alarm. Stop thinking we're in modern time. If the building's on fire and it's 1914 and there's no fire alarm, it's 1812, whatever. The building's on fire. You're the first to see it. Do you pull the do you just run out of the building, or do you go to every office and wait and warn everybody? John, damn, I want to see you tomorrow. There's a fire in the building. Get out. Mary, get out of the building. What do you do? Or do you just, oh, let me go downstairs and watch this. Let me go downstairs and make wagers. A wicked person that sees the building is burning and they're the first to see it, they run out of the building or they go to their favorites. And they say, come with me. Come with me right now. Shh, come on. And they sit and they wait to see who lives and see who dies. Someone righteous goes to all. Let me make sure even the maintenance man is out of the building. Sound the horn. Sound the trumpet. It says, if no, then they are false. Amen again. If you think I'm a false prophet, that's you just putting labels on me. Right on. I label shit all the time. I see labels on stuff and I go, that's labeled improperly. And that doesn't give me the right to say that you can't call me this or you can't call me that. I'm asking you not to. I don't view myself like that. I don't wake from dreams and say, oh, let me get on camera. God didn't talk to me and this is what he said to the people. No. Show me the clip of me saying that. without being comical. You go, so for the sake of my family, hey, I really respect this. No. Look. I'm bringing this up because a lot of people have your point of view. It's not a bad point of view. I don't want you to trust me. I'm not going out there trying to legally take a gun out there so I can be the only one with the gun and have authority over you and point my gun at everybody. I don't want that. I want to live as a family where nobody's going to be F you, nigger. Where nobody's going to be like, I don't want to sell to you because you're black. That's what I want. Alright? Is it written in scripture? Not necessarily. Does it have to be? I've shown you we gather, and after we gather we walk out. The Exodus starts. We got to make the steps in between. Nobody gets picked up and set in front of a cave to go inside of the cave to go find treasure and shit like that. And I'm just, that's a bad example. That's a really bad example to say treasure, because we're not going out there to treasure hunt. Because there's treasure out there, a lot of people have gold fever, and that's not how it's going to work. You're not going to take a chunk of gold and go back into the cities to go get porned up and liquored up and go get Maseratis and Cadillacs. You've got the wrong ideas. Now look, he goes, so for my family's sake, to have something to go by, would you be so bold as to state that, now he capitalizes God, so I don't want to just disrespect him or anything like that, but when you saw only, now Moses is lowercase, okay? Would you be so bold as to state that God has led you down the path to find the body of Moses? Now, that's a completely now that question is completely different now, isn't it? Now, I want you to understand something. I prayed the other day. I was asking direction, and I saw R-U-N. Now, I'm confused with my own, if it means run, whether it means run out to the desert or run out of the country, whether it means R space UN diplomacy. Now, a couple of days ago, I believe it was a woman, and the woman said that going to the desert makes sense because 3.5. I'm doing this because she typed it. I'm sorry. Makes me look like a fucking. Sorry. That's my insect with a rat sound kind of. Never mind. What she stated, and basically I'm trying to remember what she stated. I don't remember word for word or anything like that. She said it would make sense for us to go out there, and diplomatically they give us X amount of years, and they break the contract 3.5 years in. That also, now that matches Revelation. I think that's what she was saying. And that also matches one of the scriptures in the Old Testament that says, I'll clean you after 3.5 years. And we have, so, understand, a lot of these prophecies have multiple facets of their meaning. Just like when I say this trash can dumps over, I mean literally dumps over and points towards the window. I mean towards the window and door. This window over here in the front door, I can literally go to the window and see like the trash can falls over. I open the front door, and there's one cup, nothing else. One cup in the recycling bin, and it says R-U-N. You know, I mean, it might still be out there right now. You know, and I mean that to say, like, I wouldn't even like go to, you know, stage it or anything like that. You know, I'm kind of lazy. I don't clean up that kind of stuff out there. And it snowed, so I don't know if my mom picked it up or not. Now this links into what happened at work. Now, this was crazy. Now, I had a manager. There's an owner and a manager, and the manager's pretty much my boss. Okay, I work at a Japanese place that Chinese people own and run, all right? And my Chinese manager, okay, I come in, and I've been wearing my hair like this, and right now I got 2 bands. Now listen, this is why I'm telling you about the hair. With one band just right here against the back, this is fluffier, and I just washed my hair, so my hair was retaining the water, so my hair was out to here, and it was like real big. So with that cone coming off the back of my head, he saw me. This dude starts cracking up. This Chinese dude, he's very Americanized. He speaks very clean English. He doesn't, you know. He says to me, "Oh, you look like a samurai." Then he starts laughing and he goes, "No, wait. You look like a Ronin." And I go, "Wait, a Roman?" He goes, No, a Ronin. You look like a samurai who lost his master. And he starts laughing some more. And I go, yeah, that's, wait. When he starts laughing at me, I go, what's so funny? He goes, you look like a samurai. I go, yeah, that's funny, dude, because, you know, when I go in the mirror, yeah, that's the first thing I think do is start laughing at me. Thanks for laughing at me. And he goes, no, and more also, you look like a Ronin. You know, and then we did the Ronin thing, like, not Ronin, you know, so. And he says, you know, samurai without a master. And then I said, wow, that is kind of like fitting, you know, because we have been as a group lost. And, you know, so then he says, you can't serve 2 masters. And then I stop. Wait a second. This little bisexual, bipedaling, amazing guy. No, he's cool. He just says weird shit all the time, you know. But he's a cool guy. Like I like him a lot. Like he helps me out all the time. He's a cool guy. I ain't trying to talk shit about him, you know. And this situation was amazing. So he says you can't serve 2 masters, and like then he starts laughing again, and I'm like, that's a biblical. I say out loud, that's a biblical. You know that's a biblical. And he's just laughing. He can't hear a thing I'm saying, and I'm like, wow. I view this guy this way, and this is why I said those things. I view this guy this way. Like I don't know him personally. I'm not in his underwear. This is how me, as a person that's taught to make assumptions about it, I view him as a bisexual. Bipedal means just works too, right? You know. So when I say that, it's almost, you know where I'm going with this. It's like he was being used to deliver a message to me. Very unusual, peculiar person to use and see. That's funny because that's what the scripture says about us, to deliver a message to me. No, the door doesn't blast open and somebody in holy robes come in and say a few phrases or anything like that. No, out of groups, you know, the strangest, most oddest person will say something and then a scripture, and they don't read the Bible. And then that's how you know you've just been, you know, mail call. So I've been banging my head what does the message mean? I can't serve two masters and run. I'm really bothered by the run thing because I don't think it means physically run. When I know the scripture says, when you he who understands, run. But let me look outside. Nope, it's been fixed. I was gonna see if it was still like that. And there's so much snow outside, I'm too lazy to go open the trash can to see if the cup is still in there. And I saw what I saw, and the things are for me, And whether I share them or not, it is what it is. I'm sorry, it is what we make it. Again, when we plan it in advance, it is what we make it. You go to the cupboard one day, there's no sugar. You try to make coffee and it's bitter, and you have bitter coffee, and you're complaining about it. What does everybody say? It is what it is. But in reality, you knew you were out of sugar because you had coffee yesterday, and you took the last of it. You didn't go to get any more. You expected it to resupply. You're in the New Testament. This is what it means for the candle wax. You're supposed to leave. You're supposed to get out of her. You sit there and you act like going to work. See, I'm supposed to honor the Sabbath, right? I got to work tonight. Now, those that have studied with the GOCC, they have an excellent 7-day teaching. Sun goes down, it's beginning of the Sabbath. That's the beginning. That's when the day begins. You've been taught Babylonian sun rises. That's when the day begins. Well, the day begins at night. That's why the damn date changes at night. Oh, we'll just say it's midnight because it's midnight. It's like 12:12, right? It's the game they play. That's why I've always told you, some things they have excellent teachings about, but when they bring this Jesus stuff and New Testament stuff, it just brings wickedness to the whole thing. All their Old Testament teachings are preaching against New Testament. And then 10 minutes later, they're preaching from the New Testament. That is so confusing. Who brings confusion? Now, I'm not saying that it's them. Hence, I've even told people to go and learn from them to get that step up. It's their lessons. I'm going to tell you how it happened with the GOCC. I was sitting there listening, and he started teaching about the 10 Commandments. And this is what he said about the 10 Commandments. He said, I can't say word for word. I'm going to say the gist of it, or what I got from it. He said that the 10 Commandments are a contract. This is what whom their people call Elder Ricard. So their master Ricard says the 10 Commandments are a contract. Okay. And he says honor the 10 Commandments. Okay. That's a contract. Preaches for 2 hours about the 10 Commandments. Excellent teaching, except for when he keeps injecting Christ. Because the first commandment says, no other gods. They stop that teaching. It's prayer time. They go to the New Testament and they start praying from the New Testament, and they start praying and they end their prayer with Jesus. And I think, I'm in my own home. I can't help you watching from your home. I'm telling you the reality. I start screaming, what the how can you tell me? Now, I'm at home, I can't talk to him. I can't even type to him. Because when I start, I'm too angry. When I start typing, they're going to block me. How can you preach to me? It's a contract. And then, now, notice what my hands are doing. How can you preach to me? It's a contract. And then, give me a prayer to Jesus. Now, I done given you enough. You are the father of your home talk in this conversation. Now, what if your child does this and lets another man into? I've done other videos where I've explained from the scenario, what if you are mythical? What everybody's a man in this scenario? What if it's just a scenario. What if your wife cheated with you with your teenage or young adult son, and you already know that no adultery, but it's your son, it's not another man. That's the same thing as us worshiping this son God or son of God. Well, it's a son of God. Well, it's not God. And that's what he's going to say to us on Judgment Day. I created you to worship me, and you didn't. So again, wherever I go and set up tent, I don't want to deal with that. If I get into a group, I don't want the group I don't want to be part of a group praising Jesus. I don't want to threaten anybody, because it just doesn't feel right threatening people. I don't want to have to move my camp, meaning my family. I don't want to have to move my family every time somebody comes in the area preaching Jesus. I don't want to sit there and say, oh, I forgive you, brother, even though this is the 20th time, please stop coming into my area preaching Jesus. You're gonna bring something against us. So if you have those feelings, man, and you can really see that for us the desert could bloom, just don't be part of the first wave. I don't have the right to say you can't. It's open desert. You can do whatever you want. Just please don't come around me. And again, I'm not directing this at you. I'm directing it at the thought pattern, because it's a shared thought pattern. And I make comments like this all the time. Brother, you gotta watch more videos. If you can't physically watch them, you can listen. And I'm sorry if you can't tolerate my voice. It is what it's been made to be. Now, you state this. You state, for the sake of my family, to have something to go by, would you be so bold as to state God has led you down a path to find the body of Moses? I would honestly say yes. I'm not calling myself a prophet. I call myself a teacher. I call myself a preacher. I do not call myself a prophet. I preach and I teach to you. And I promise you, if I go somewhere and I see somebody baptizing black people, I will probably warn them with the Bible. If I saw them on another day continuing it, I would probably in the gentleman's fashion smack them in the dueling manner. You understand how in the when dueling went on, I would probably do that. Now that's not respected today. That's respected as an assault. So I'm not saying that I would assault somebody to the degree that, you know, I would punch and kick them or anything like that. I'm explaining, if I wore gloves, I would take off my glove and I'd smack them across their face and challenge them to a duel. Especially if I came the day before and I preached the actual word of God, that they were infecting the Israelites by baptizing them. Now I know that has nothing truly to do with the conversation, but that truly does have to do a lot with the desert. Baptism is not Levitical. Levites gave instructions to people with plagues to wash themselves once or twice or 7 times in a river, a particular river, in a particular point. sometimes where it foamed. If the river foams there, that means it's lie there. If lie is there, it was then obviously it was a scientific reason behind those things. Now we can't tell because we're not going to sit down as a group and just read holy books until we completely understand. Because we live in cities, we're too busy and we don't have time. But if we all went to the desert with books, and we got time to find ourselves. So yes, I do believe God has put me on a path to find the body of Moses. To further that I do not believe God has shown me to find the body of Moses. Now, I hope you understand the difference in the two statements. I believe I'm led down this path. Yes. Yes. Did he show me the path physically yet? No. Did he show me the area? No. Did he show me the tomb? No. Did he show me the body? No. Did he take me anywhere? No. Has he talked to me word for word? No. Has he personally shown me pictures? I don't think so. No. This is what you get from your studies? Yes. I do not want one man, I do not want one woman to be fooled or tricked. I want you to understand word for word. We are going to the desert, if you come, to be a family. First and foremost, we are going to be a tribe. Our goal is the holy days. To work as one, to feed ourselves, to grow to a point where we don't need money. Everything that the white man hates that has not been outright illegally verbalized through white supremacy. A place where they can't feed off of us. You, me, we leave right now individually. We go to another city to feed off of another system. Or to be fed off of by another system. We mass together as a group. We stand in wilderness. We can feed ourselves all the way home. It says also, if you did find that body, there would be no other option than to believe you. Well, I don't want to say yes, but if I did find the body, it'd be really hard not to believe me. That's the thing. Now, the body could already be found. And we could study and understand which body is his. But I don't think that tomb has been... I don't think the information about that tomb has been placed in front of me yet. Information exists everywhere. It's about if we see it. You know what I'm saying? So, I'll put it to you like this. If I found the body of Moses, it'd be hard for Farrakhan to ignore me. It would be hard for Ricard to ignore me. I hope that answers everybody. If I found the body of Farrakhan, if I found the body of Moses, it'd be hard for any man on the face of the planet to ignore us any longer. They would see it as a miracle. They would see it as a living miracle. They would say, one, these blacks went into the desert and learned to work together when everything in society has divided them. They'd say, 2, not only that, they look different now. They look like the people that were drawn in the history books as the ancients. 3, they would say they planted things and things blossomed in a desert. The desert where nothing grows. They would know from history that even the Mormons eventually had to give up. If we go out the desert and start planting and we pray for rain, all these Indians today, you don't see one of them doing a rain dance. If we go out to the desert and pray for rain, we can make anything grow. If we ask the Creator, we can. If one of us dies, God forbid, if one of us dies, if we ask the Creator, we can learn the ways to bring that one back. It's about what we can do as a group. These people want to be wizards and sorcerers. These people want to be you, but with a wicked, perverted way to use your power individually. People, we're like Voltron. We cannot be powerful unless we are in 5. And when 5 sets of 5 come together, whoa, it's real big. Well, imagine what we could do with 4,000 people. Imagine what we could do growth-wise, in harmony, with 10,000 people. We are the people that built pyramids after the giants were wiped out. We built them. We have the same abilities that the Nephilim have, but we have the righteous version. Did Jesus tell you that, brother? Did Jesus teach you to plug back into God so that God can be your power source and then you could be the mighty man that you were made to be? I'm telling you that, man. We can focus on the good stuff in the New Testament, but we can't focus on no Jesus. We can't have Jesus in prayers. We can't look at Jesus no more than a prophet. Brother, we can't even prove he existed. So for the most part, it's best not to even acknowledge him. We're waiting for a Messiah, a destroyer, who's called Emmanuel. When we debate with these countries for our children back, and they say no, the Lord releases Emmanuel and he brings fire upon these cities. We don't do this. We administer reason and justice and scripture. We heal. We defend. We don't attack. The Lord does that for us. And if he wants us to attack, he'll tell us. He'll say, utterly obliterate them. And he says utterly, that don't mean save a child. And I can't help that. Because we have many writings to show we must follow his instructions to the T. We have generations obliterated. Nobody batted an eye. So without instruction from him, we only defend. Alright. It says also, if you did find the body, there would be no other option than to believe you. Listen, man, people's minds are wired weird. If I find the body, there's going to be people that do not believe that it's the body of Moses. if I find the body, and in English, a duct tape is written, "This is Moses," people still wouldn't believe. If an angel appeared when a news camera was broadcasting and said, "You found the body of Moses," and everybody was astonished. People viewing from home still wouldn't believe that it was real. So, you know, with Blue Beam going on, a lot of people won't believe a lot of shit. That's why I'm telling you, they're not going to believe the miracle is you finding Moses. You and me and the rest of the people that are out there are going to witness that. Witness that. I told you, we are the witnesses. If the first witnesses signed the covenant, the first covenant, then we're the witnesses that signed the second covenant. So you see what's going on? The people that called us dumb niggers, trash, useless. The people that put a dumb imbecile next to the word nigger. In the modern version, still to ridicule us. These people that say we can't do nothing by ourselves. They're going to view us working together as a miracle. They're going to view us not showing our ass with our pants hanging off as our asses as a miracle. You're not going to believe the stupid shit we get over that they're going to believe is miracles. When we have old people in the desert moving around like they're young, these people that's sitting at home, they're going to view that as a miracle. If we find the body of Moses, if it's still in the ground right now, if it's not in a museum to be argued over, if it's still in the ground and we find it, most people won't believe it. Because the white man didn't tell them. And that's part of the program. 6,000 viewers ain't going to come in 1 month. And see, the thing is, when you look at these modern videos, only 1,000, maybe 2,000 people see them. Not 6,000. See, I have hundreds of videos, so maybe from the different videos, somebody's liked one thing and they haven't liked something in the next. Maybe the one time they watched something and they liked something, they respected it, they liked the video, they subscribed, and they haven't watched the next video. You know, hundreds of people watch, one video each day. Because they're all different topics. See, the difference is, you know, whatever I title them doesn't always cover the main topic. This is why it's unique. It's not one of those, the titles aren't attention-getting titles. Titles revolve around a grasp at what the topic could be about, and sometimes they don't really touch. That's why it's hard to go back in some of these videos and dig up some information, you know. So look, this is what I wrote, man. I wrote, what you're asking in your words, God hasn't shown me or spoken to me. Okay? What I think are messages could be just random daydreams. That's the beauty of it. That's the beauty of it. So I told you, this is from a teaching, man. So I asked you for a subject line, and this is the subject matter that was placed before me. Now, if you're waiting for your God to come and save you, Isaiah 43 states, only the Creator is Savior. The Bible, Old Testament, says that there will be no more prophets. I wrote an, I meant am. I am not a prophet. I am come to being you into effect. Excuse me. I miswrote that. I'm come to bring you into a family so we can lead. So we can lead and pray and serve the Creator. I wrote that wrong, but I think you get the gist of it. Moses and the ark are bait. They are side issues. Now, I'm not telling him nothing. I'm not telling the viewer. I've had a lot of coffee. Actually, the last broadcast I've been a little bit, because I've been just drinking coffee in the morning. Listen, we're not going to hunt Aztec gold. Those people already know where it's at. The Aztec prophecy already says the gold is to unite the tribes. You can't take some of the gold and go run off into the world. Everybody that has had anything to do with that out of greed has died. If we set a camp and we're doing this and that, and you run off and find where that place is, and you reach in that hole, and you come up with some gold, and you take that and you bring it back to camp, you're going to die in camp. And we're not going to know why you died. You have a heart attack, you have a stroke, something like that. Until somebody realizes there was a piece of gold. And until that piece of gold go back to that hole, everybody will keep dying. When you take that gold for a week, and the Most High lets you stay alive for that week, after the first night, people say he hasn't died, and they go get a handful of the gold, and then the rest of the 6 days pass, and then you die. All those people are going to realize they're going to die if they don't put their gold back in that hole. If I think I'm the leader, if you think that I'm the leader, that gold's not for me. It's for us. It's for the future. I can say I'm the leader all I want. That don't make me the leader. You following my instruction, that's different. If I say something that don't make sense, I'm sure I do all the time, we should question each other. If we go out there, we need to have people who are strong in that category lead us in that category. I've never fished. I can't lead you in fishing. I read. That's what I can lead you in. I'm not strong in prayer. I can't lead you in prayer. So you see how other people are going to have to lead us at different times? There can be one person that's the head. There can be coordinators of those different people that are heads of everything. But we can't go out there with the attitude of dictating everybody. You got to let everybody live at their own rate to be able to say, I'm ready to participate on that level. You go out there, it's 120 degrees. You're not going to want to move in the summertime out in the sun. There's a lot of things we can do. There's caves out there. We can live in a cave, boil our water, put it in the cave to cool off. You know, there's lots of things we can do. We can take brushes and stuff out there to clean stuff. I mean, you see some of these caves. There's a cave that's filled with water. The water stagnates from rainwater. You take buckets out there, spend 3 days taking all that water out. Right? You clean what water you can of that. You boil it. You bring some cement. You add cement and you make an even floor, man. And it's all of a sudden, it's a great room. If you want to live there, fine, man, whatever. You make that floor even, then the water ain't gonna go up there no more. It's still gonna come in, but it ain't gonna go into a recession and make a pool. And no, you can make a pool, but the water's stagnant, so it's poisonous. So you got to get rid of the water if you go into that cave. And that's a cave with an open ceiling. Plenty of caves out there with no open ceiling. In fact, if you start studying these videos of Utah, like I asked some of you to, actually I've asked all of you to, just investigate it. They tell you there's hundreds of caves out there. So many caves, they don't even know. On top of that, when they're talking about it, they say there's hundreds of caves that haven't even been explored yet. So, the thing is not going out there and doing anything foolish. This isn't like going to the bar and you're like, I'm going in first and I'm going in hard because I'm going to get the sweetest girl. This is going into the hottest place, one of the hottest places on earth. So keep your cool down, keep your anger, because when you start acting and acting out, you're going to burn off energy and you're going to be thirsty. And when you gobble up everybody's water, everybody hates you. It's going to be that simple. So, pay attention. The body of Moses is bait. We are not going out there to find the body of Moses. I made that video, the body of Moses is in. Not, let's go get. I said in the next video or 2 videos later, Utah is the homeland of the Aztec. You heard that prophecy. We can't get it without unification. You can't go out there and in 3 days say, I know what a hole is, I'm going for gold. I'm going for broke. I'm fighting. He who wrestles with Haya. You cannot go out there and be the guy who wrestles with Haya, or he will strike us down. If we go out there with the idea of being one, I didn't say the oath or anything like that. If we go out there with the idea of being one, you die, part of us dies. On top of that, when we have death and we're not separate from the United States, there will be investigators from the United States. Every time anybody's hurt, there's going to be some kind of investigation. Now, we can just go out there as campers. And then when we sit and talk for a few nights and understand we're on the same basis as shit, you know, we can move into a bigger camp and stuff like that. If we find caves, you take this cave, I take this cave. You know, like, Europeans made all kinds of laws for Europeans, and Europeans have broken all kinds of those laws. And they do this for success. We're not doing this for success. And we're not trying to break their laws. We're trying to prosper in a spiritual manner. That's all. We're doing it where this book says it's legal for us. I'll turn to Deuteronomy. Every time they point a gun to me, all I'm going to do is read the Bible. Until I pray and the Lord tells me otherwise. As of right now, I know, turn to Deuteronomy 34 and read, and this is Deuteronomy 32. Get thee up this mountain, Mount Abarim, unto Mount Nebo, which is in the land of Moab, against Jericho, and behold the land of Canaan. Now they got all that land right there. That's all named that. They even got Canaan Mountain there. I'm not going out there to play games. I'm not going out there to be turned away. When those Caucasians in France sued those black people, they took them to court. Those black people won because the French people are not, the white French people calling themselves French aren't French. When we go out there and they bring us paperwork saying that we cannot legally be out there, they're going to take us to court, and when we go to court, I'm going to bring documents of their own writing, and I'm going to bring this. I'm going to bring the book that says that we know that they're the Israelites. I'm going to bring the book that says these are the different lands that we dwelled in, that they stole from us in the 13 colonies. When they take us to court, I'm going to bring up the Wappum Treaty. And And when I bring us to the court, I'm going to say, which I give unto the children of Israel for a possession. And when I finish, I'm going to say, I do not expect any kind of fair rule from you. You are the children of evil. You have taken and put us in this predicament. And how can I expect to go unto you? This is why we wait for them to take us to court. How can I expect to go unto you and be treated fair and just? How do I expect justice to be administered to me from the wicked person that has taken my land from me? This was not sold, it was not handed over, it was taken. Previous treaties, which you claim are still in effect, were broken. And you broke them. And that is what I will say to them. If I die along the way, it ain't about being chosen. It's about I completed my mission. It's up to you to carry the torch. It doesn't have to be an individual's job. Once we mass the people, the right people will know how to dedicate themselves to the people. We don't you not. When you got out in that heat, all that nagging, that shit gets turned off. It's too hot. It's too hot. You're going to have to preserve your energy. You're going to pass out. And they're going to leave you in the sun. You're going to wake up at night and ain't nobody going to be around you. You was nagging somebody on the way and they left you there. And I'm not going to say nothing. Nobody needs to go out to the desert to be nagged. And when somebody gets bullied, nobody's going to let anybody else bully each other out there. When you guys start some shit with somebody else and they knock you out, we're going to leave you in the sun, just like we're going to leave the nagging feminine men, just like we're going to leave the nagging woman. You wake up in the middle of the night when it's nice and cool and nobody's around, you know, I'm just going to leave you where you lie. You might get a bottle of water. But a lot of people don't want to tolerate a lot of stuff, especially in those kind of conditions. It's best that we conserve our energy and get rid of our wicked thoughts. If we fill our head with scripture, we're not watching TV, we're not listening to music. People said there's solar plugs for cell phones. Why? So somebody can watch porn in the dark when nobody's around? People will climb a mountain just so they can get reception. You know what the effort it takes to climb a mountain? They'll climb a mountain just so they can get reception, just so they can watch damn porn. We don't need that shit out there. We need books, and of course, I made a list. Check this out. Hold on, be right back. Alright. Now I said, you know, this video is for the more mature, the more responsible. It's for the older people. You know, some of you have, you know, conditions, you know, and you can't go without your medical resources. Some of you have finance that you don't feel like you would live in the desert too well, and you can afford to send people in your family, you know. It's not a bad thing. Another thing that you might want to think of is there are towns out there. There are cities out there. There's Phoenix. We're not going, you know, too far from Phoenix. I think we're going to be, you know, a couple 100 miles from Phoenix. You know, I mean, I think we're within 100 miles of Phoenix. You know, and there's towns in the mountains there. There's towns in the valleys there. You know, there's the town of Jericho itself. You know, if people want to live in the town of Jericho and investigate the history of Jericho. If you want to rent a house and investigate, go to the libraries, things like that. There's the town of Moab. The town of Moab in the video that shows us, he calls it mapping things out. He shows us that there's a museum there. If there's a museum, there's definitely a library. The history of these places are in these places, especially in books that did not go public, especially in books that did not do too well, especially in books in these areas that are on local history, local lore, and local myth. So God has given you every herb bearing fruit and seed. What you do with it is your choice. Your choice over what I want to feed my stomach or my mind. It's my choice. So stop worrying about what I do. Now, I want to go over some things. Again, to the older people, I am 40. April, I will be 41. All right. Some of you have heard of the movie Field of Dreams with Kevin Costner. Some of you have seen the movie Field of Dreams with Kevin Costner. I didn't want to watch the movie. I was forced to watch the movie. I wasn't forced to watch the movie. I watched the movie. There was nothing else on. I hate baseball. I hate baseball. I like Kevin Costner as an actor, man. Waterworld is an interesting movie, man. The Postman is okay. I like The Postman better than I like Crying with Wolves. But Crying with Wolves it's kind of about us. Arguing with tribes that it is irrelevant. You have Cherokee and you have Black Cherokee. You have this and you have Black version of this. Each tribe, for the most part, has Black people that they don't want to acknowledge. What happens is if the Black people understand their history, they will understand that they were the heads of those tribes. Those tribes do not want to relinquish their superiority over the rest of the tribes. These are the members of the tribes that did not have the same God as you when we were broken into different factions. These non-Negro tribes, these non-Afro members of the tribes sold you aside. They did not have authority to sign later treaties, which they signed for their own preservation. So, I understand, but they're still void. They're not valid treaties. You cannot have a bloodline, Apache. You cannot have Afro-Apache and this is how they're termed. You cannot have Negroid and Mongol Apache. If you DNA test them and they have the same blood, that's different. That's irregular, unusual. Now, brothers with different wives going two different ways for a long time, yes, that comes up. But you have to prove that. See, those Hittites, those Canaanites, those different types of African tribes with stringy hair and dark skin, they're hiding the same secret from you that the Caucasian is. They're not the heads of those tribes. Their families should not be ruling those tribes. Your families were pushed aside. Listen, if you call all the tribe heads to one place and all the tribe heads is black, then you got all the black Indians in one place. If you give them instructions and send them back to the rest of the members that you've let into your tribes, then they go back and give instructions. They lead those tribes. This is why they tell you, I'm with you. I'm waiting on you. This is why poor white people always tell you, I'm with you. This is why rich people always tell you, stay cool, man. Be cool. It's cool. Everybody stressed out in the same predicament as you. When you blow your top, they all back up and say, just let them blow. Just hope you don't, blow on me or I'm going to blow up too. And that's usually how we get somebody in trouble. When people get excited, especially if we're going to go live together, we've got to keep tempers cool. This is why Kanye West tries to throw it in your face. There's no church in the wild. Is to teach you, don't go out there. You can't be civil out in the wild. Isn't the video in the desert? Ain't Californication, the Tupac video, ain't that in the desert? This is the future. That's what they're telling you each time. We've got to go to the desert, and we've got to do it in a way that is not Mad Max. We cannot go to the desert acting like Mad Max. After we're successful and people mimic us, they're going to look like Mad Max. That is not our task. Whether that's prophecy or not, that's them later. That is not us now. Now look, Field of Dreams had a catch to it. He was in the middle. He has some property in cornfield land, and he kept saying, "If you build it, they will come." Ghosts kept coming to him. Spirits kept coming to him. If you build it, they will come. There ain't nothing for me to build. All I'm gonna do is go and put a tent out there. Take a bow and arrow and take some gear. I'm gonna read this list to you. And I want you to keep an open mind. Now, there is nothing out in the desert right now. There ain't nothing wicked. There ain't nothing righteous out in the desert. If the ark is out there, nobody's holding it. Not a wicked Levite, not a clean Levite. If Moses' body out there, ain't nobody claiming it. If it's a museum, they ain't saying it's Moses. It's still in the desert. We're the only people talking. We're sparking, we're igniting the conversation on it. So look, if there's going to be righteousness in the desert, it's because you bring it. Now listen, there's going to be wickedness in the desert. It's going to be because you bring it. Nothing is out there. It's whatever you bring. If you bring a good attitude, a good perception, that's what's going to be out there. If you bring a bad attitude, that's what's going to be out there. Spirits bother us every day. There's going to be spirits bothering you out there. They're going to give you an irritated mood, and somebody going to come around while you're irritated. You've got to control your mood. We are the finest actors that have ever lived. People mimic us. We live such great lives, they mimic us. Our tempers flare, and the first thing we do is we act out. We have to control ourselves in that heat. We do. You've got to understand that. Now look, if you build it, they will come. That don't have nothing to do with us. It's just an example. If you want to watch the movie Field of Dreams to understand more, go ahead. Because white people believe that talking to ghosts and talking to spirits is the thing to do. Now, we believe in the Holy Spirit. Now, I understand that. It doesn't, I believe the Holy Spirit is us breathing. I understand that some people understand what I'm saying? Fine. We're not going to debate this. But we get influenced by things. The movie shows things influencing this man for him to construct a ballpark that becomes famous or something like that. The movie's a little slow, but it's interesting. How he has an idea and he follows his idea and becomes successful. Just like the Bill Gates movie, just like anybody's movie that they made about somebody successful. It's just, this is the movie that pertains to our situation. Now I say ours and not mine, because even if I see myself as the Kevin Costner, even if I see myself as a leader, even if I'm being tested about things, there's still the option of failure. Nobody likes failure, but it builds character. I've got a lot of character, so I failed a lot. Alright, so look, if you want it, you must bring it. If you want beans every day, you've got to bring beans. And I don't mean you got to bring a bag of beans. You know, I don't mean you got to bring a packet of beans. If you want beans, you're in the desert. There's no store. I mean, there's stores out there, but they're far. And because you're stranded in the desert, you know they're going to hike the prices up really high. So, if you want it, you must bring it. So if you want beans, I mean, you got to bring beans. Especially people that have vehicles. And I'm not saying this over and over to get beans in your freaking head. I'm just saying, as an example, whatever you think you're going to want every day. Because look, it's not like you're bringing your house. If you got 5 members in your house, then you got 5 people to carry household goods. But you still got personal items, and so do they. So you can't carry everything. And if you can load it into your car, it's still a car. You're still going to load your personal items and then food, and then you're going to run out of the room. You're going to come out, you're going to set up camp, and you're going to go to the store, and you're going to buy other stuff, and you're going to come back to where you can't set up camp. It's kind of going to be like that. Now look, you don't want to bring too much shit. If they push us out of one area, but say another area is okay for us to be in, it's going to be hard to carry your stuff to, you know, especially if you made numerous trips to the store and you now have more stuff than your vehicle can carry. Now listen, if you want beans, you gotta bring it. Like, I ain't talking about 5 pounds. I'm talking about at least 10 pounds, 20 pounds. If you're one person coming and you got a car, I mean, fill up the trunk with beans, man. You know, because, you know, there's no store. Take some of the whole beans, go to a shaded area that's got some grass, plant a couple of beans, man, you know, water them, see if they sprout. You know, if you want rice, again, don't get like, you know, one Uncle Ben box, or don't get fucking, don't get one case and be like, I got it. I mean, you can be out there, you know, I ain't going home unless I have to go home. I don't want to go home. I don't want to come back to the city to work for somebody else to build the finances. I want a place. We need our own place. We need our own nation. If you want salt, I mean, if you want salt, if you want to eat something and not be like, oh, it's bland, this or that, like, you know, you got to bring salt. You know what I mean? You know, a case of salt probably lasts a while. You know, probably 2 cases. You know, you want cheap, just regular, you know, rice. You know, you don't want, you know, a bunch of rice with a bunch of crap in it. You want plain rice. You know, get a 10-pound bag. You know, 5-pound bag costs less than $10. You know, 100 pounds of rice costs less than $50. You know, if you want water, you know, if you want bottled water, then, you know, get a couple of cases. You fill up what you can. You know, there's no water fountains. There's no processing centers out there. We have to get giant pots so we can boil river water eventually. You know, if you go to the desert with $1,000, you're eventually going to be out of money. There's no jobs out there. Like, I mean, there's jobs in the cities, but you got to have a house in the city. I mean, you get where I'm going, right? Like, you're not going to have something unless you write a book, unless you do this, or unless you do that, unless you do some external company that you run and that can run itself in the desert, like book sales run itself. You write a book, publishing house puts the books on the shelves, they take their commission, they put your money in a bank. All you do is walk out of the desert, you go to a bank account, you get the money out that you need, and you get the resources that you need. Other than that, you know, if you're in the desert, it's not like you're going to work every day. You've been living week to week. That will end. You're about to live by the moment, and the moment's good. You know. If you want coffee, don't bring a jar. Don't bring a 5-pound bag. You're gonna want coffee every morning. Sometimes you're gonna want coffee at night. If you have coffee in front of another Indian, he's gonna want coffee. We're still in the cities. You know, you can call yourself niggas. You know how niggas are. You know how folk people are. If you're gonna have, if we want to live as a family, we have to provide as a family. You know, and if we go out there empty-handed, then then the people that are empty-handed are gonna have to do the natural resource conversions. If I go out there with nothing, then I better come together and get a large pot, and I better be doing the work every day to make water, purify water, so that we can cook your beans, so that we can eat. You know, I mean, you can cook your water, and I can just not eat beans. But if we're gonna be a family, this is what it consists of. You know. And we've been given generations of nothing. If people come, there's going to be a lot of people with nothing, especially children. And we can't sit there and eat all the animals in the mountains, because that'll force us to migrate. You know, it's part of forced migration. You know. So we've got to be able to learn to live off the land, and we've got to be able to plant in areas that can grow. You know, you want these things, you're gonna have to bring the pots for them. You're gonna have to bring the pans for them. You want coffee, it's cheaper to buy the whole bean, and you're gonna need a grinder for that. You're gonna need a strong grinder, because if you buy a cheap grinder and it breaks in 3 weeks, then what? Then you're off to the store. You know, and if you're one of those people that don't have a vehicle, the store is miles, dude. Human can walk 10 miles in a day, can walk 20 miles in a day, but 10 miles and you're exhausted. You're gonna be African jogging to the store if you want to be, back in 3 days. You're gonna be marathoning it for 3 days, unless somebody drives to the store to buy you a grinder, a new grinder, a more expensive grinder than the cheap one you just bought. You want plates, utensils to eat with, we got to bring them. Plastic is not going to do out there. We need reusable stuff that we can clean, just like you got at your home now. Every man, woman, and child should have their own dish. If you're broke right now, you got plates in the cupboard. You got plates in the cupboard. You should set up a little handbag for your own dishes right now. Set it aside. I don't even have to go in your backpack. That'd be lightweight. If you put it in your backpack, go ahead. Whatever. But everybody should have their own drinking cup. Nobody should need a cup. Nobody should go out in the desert with a water bottle and say, I got my cup and it's this water bottle. Plastic in heat it's made with estrogen. That's why plastic can bend. That's why it's stretchy. Heat makes the estrogen burn out. When estrogen leaves, it goes into the nearest source. If you're holding it all the time, that's your body. If it's got water inside, the estrogen leaks back into the water and then you drink it. Man drinking estrogen makes his testosterone count go down and his estrogen level rise. That's the same reason why you say we have feminized men running around today. Because first it starts on a chemical level. Then the propaganda sets in. Then you see the adjustment change in society. First it starts with chemicals. We are chemical beings ruled by entities that have control over those chemicals and minerals. Gear you want, it's up to you. If you're legally allowed to own a gun, then if Utah has an open carry society, then you need a gun belt. Open carry means it's visual. That means you need to wear it on your hip. I said if. I'm not saying they have that. I'm saying if. If they have concealment and you want to carry your weapon concealed, then you need to get it. I don't want to argue about people's rights because they're, we know the bottom line. Carrying around their IDs, we're considered African, which we don't have any rights to the Constitution. All right, so the Second Amendment doesn't cover us. See, we are sovereign from them, and we don't live that way, so we allow them to administer their authority over us. That's the whole key to all this. This is why it's easier to group together and leave, because eventually they're going to say, look, you're sovereign, you need your own tongue. This is the point of our people that speak Hebrew coming and teaching the rest. They say you're sovereign, you need your own nation. There's a point when we say, okay, well, we're out of here. We're going where these books say is our home, and we don't care who lives there. If they make demands, we stall and pray and wait for God's decision. That's what we do. That's what we're going to learn to do. We can't do that with me here in Ohio, you in Minneapolis, and somebody else in blah, 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 blah. We need to be at one. We need to relinquish our ego problems, and be led by people through prayer, only through prayer, and through instruction. Gear, if you want it. If you want these holy books, you got to bring them. Ain't no use of 30 people trying to be preachers over all of us and they ain't got no books. Preaching that New Testament garbage, I'm not hearing it. I'm not even wasting another minute on that. I'm running out of time. You have to have the gear. You're not borrowing other people's stuff. I understand some people ain't coming with, but if you want to hunt and the only guy with a fishing rod, the only guy with hunting gear is going too, then you can't borrow. You guys ain't gonna swap the whole way. He ain't buy that rifle for 2 people. He didn't buy that bow and arrow for 2 people. He didn't buy that crossbow for 2 people. There's some people that have money, that they got many weapons, and they're just waiting for a pair of hands to hand it to. For some people, that's going to be acknowledged. But, hopefully maturity and discipline is shown before people just start handing over weapons. Hopefully you guys will be really smart. Because you could be we don't know each other. None of us knows each other. There could be many viewers that are convicts, or fresh out, or murderers. There could be anything amongst us. I'm not even worried about CIA agents. Those guys have to follow the law. They're there to watch us to see if we break the law. So I'm not worried about them. I'm worried about psychotics and rapists getting amongst us. That's what I'm worried about. Now, I'm not saying that so you're like, oh, I don't want to go out there because there might be a rapist. You go to the bank, there might be a rapist in the bank. You go to the theater, there could be a murderer in the theater. You have no idea. And we have no idea. And it ain't the greatest time to say this because I'm talking about the gear. It's just, you need to know. If you go out there, if you're thinking about going out there, like this guy says, for the sake of his family, for the sake of people that are saying, look, you know what? I'm done with the city. I've been wanting to leave. This seems like the most reasonable, logical thing. This doesn't sound crazy. This sounds like the spiritual event I've been waiting for. I don't need to wait for an event of destruction for me to go and lament, for me to go and repent, for me to go and worship the Creator on the land that He gave us. So, gear, if you want it, you gotta bring it. If you want to fish, you gotta have fishing nets and rods, and you gotta have fishing knives. All right, there's no point in using the knife that we cut this or that with, you know, on everything. Yeah, we can clean it and stuff like that, but if you want it and you got the money, just buy that stuff now. That book of Brock, I had a paper once. It was a paper of a copy of one of the scriptures. If you want the luxuries that you have in the city, you got to take them out there. And I ain't talking about a couch and sofa. That ain't a bad idea to have like sofa cushions, but that's not what I'm talking about. This is what I'm talking about. If you want fish, you got to have something to catch the fish. If you want the elk that's out there, if you want the goats that are out there, if you want the milk in the goats in the morning, then you got to have a container to put the goat milk in. You got to have something to keep the goat alive to catch the goat, like rope or net. It helped to have something to put over the horns, so when one person's bent over, they don't, you know, nobody else gets poked by the horns when if the goat gets mad. It'd help if you could understand the difference between a male goat and a female goat. But you need nets and ropes. If you want to eat the elk, you need bows or rifles. You can't ask the goat to die. Hey, Mr. Goat, can you keel over and die so I can cook and eat you? Hey, Mr. 400-pound elk, could you just keel over and... No, we've got to take those animals. If we want deer, we've got to take that animal. We've got to learn or bring the knowledge, survival guides, to know what parts to cut out. We have to know when we sacrifice that we don't eat the legs. We know we eat chicken dinner, we love the legs, we know we eat this, we eat that, we eat the legs. That Bible says when we do that sacrifice, you put the head and the legs and all sorts of other stuff aside in the altar. It is not for us. So there's parts that we've been used to consuming that we're not to eat. If there's pigs out there, we can't let our people eat them. I know there's no pigs in the desert, but you know what I mean. If you want horses out there, you got to bring them. There's a lot of you that are wealthy. If you want a horse so you can travel, you know, you've got to bring the horse. If you want sheep, you got to bring it. I'm not even joking. Whatever. If you want chickens, you got to bring it. Let me explain something to you. Something that most people that know me in life say. A chicken lays an egg. You take that egg and you eat it. You got yourself one egg breakfast. You let that chicken grow. You let that egg hatch to a chick, let that chicken grow, you got a chicken dinner. 4 people can eat happily off a chicken dinner. More. You understand what I'm saying? You take chickens out there and you start eating the eggs, you don't eat chicken dinners tomorrow. You take chickens out there, you got to take chicken feed. Chicken eats the feed, you got to have a vehicle, or you got to be able to have money saved up to buy feed later. Just understand what I'm saying. Look, just because we all black don't mean we all poor. Alright? And just because you leave your state don't mean that there's no way for us to eat. If you're on state funds, that don't mean that you still can't eat out in the wild. Gardening. If you want it, you got to bring it. I'm holding on to the seeds of the last grapes from 5 years ago. I still got them. I got seeds from real grapes from 5 years ago. I still got them. Something told me to keep them. Still got them. If you want peach trees, go get a peach. Take the seed, clean it off, dry it out. Put too much water on it, leave it in water. It's gonna grow. Dry it out, clean it off like a toothbrush, all the little furs that be on there. Clean it off like a toothbrush or something like that. Excuse me. Put some paper towel around it, put it in a bag. When it's dry, take the paper towel out, repeat the process, then you got a bunch of them. You want a tree to grow out there, take the seed, bury it, plant it in the shade. Plant an area that gets a lot of shade. Sun goes over the area, it gets too much sunlight, then put up a sunscreen for some time. Put up a form of curtain. Keep the area moisture. You can grow. The Mormons were out there growing, using us to grow. Bring the seeds. If you want if you want a garden, you got to bring the gardening tools. I'm sure there's a store somewhere in Utah. I just don't know how close to the desert. Flaxseed. From flaxseed we get linen. And that goes right into books. If you want to be able to make fabric, know the seeds that fabric is made from. Bring the books. If you ain't got time to learn the knowledge, you've had forever, and you ain't wanted to, because you could always go to the store. Just read what things are made out of. Quick snatch the books on the processes. The smaller the book, the better to a degree, because you don't want to take a lot of weight. But the more detailed in the process, the more helpful it'll be. Pottery books. Plastic does not go well in the desert. Estrogen flows into our bodies then. So that's why when they go into places that are deserts, they usually find people were living there, and so historically people are already living in deserts, and they usually find pottery. They're keeping the water in pottery. They're keeping their food in pottery. All right? And that's what fights moisture there. Pottery. That's what fights mold and dust. Pottery. So we need more pottery than plastic, where plastic does have its uses. Books, geo-rock descriptions. How to tell what rock does and what its properties are. To tell what rocks can make a fire hotter. To tell what rocks can what different rock formations will be useful for us, especially if in the Bible certain rocks might be mentioned and we're just not acknowledging it because we don't know some of the names. But books on rock descriptions, books, survival guides, desert plants, edibles in the West. I have books on edibles in the East. In the East, they're useless. If we go west, they're useless. Hemp growing books. Hemp can be turned into so many different industrial processes, and then we have nothing but time to learn those processes. So just the books to show us what they are. We don't need all the chemicals and stuff like that or anything like that for the environment, for the different types of processes. There's nothing that says we're going to start being successful with mass growth of anything, whether it be corn or hemp or anything. just keep these things in mind. And we don't know if we want to plant all the seeds we have in the desert, because we don't know where we're going to be 5 years from now. You don't know if you're going to go out and stay 3 weeks and say forget it. You don't know if you're going to go out and stay 3 years and then say I want to go back for a little while. Who knows what you're going to do? But those decisions are between you and yourself. You can claim they're between you and God, but that's what everybody says. But God says himself, none of you are mindful of him. Books, edible plants, hemp growing, any books that talk in depth about the death of Moses. Those are going to be the most important books right now. I know there's other topics that you think that are important that I haven't brought up. That's cool. Everybody's got an art, a skill. Those little crushers where you put the flower head in there and you squeeze it and you get the nectar of the flower out. Like, I didn't bring that up, but those things are very important. So, there's lots of things that I haven't focused on. How to lure bees to your garden so that they can pollinate the area. I haven't focused on things like that, but very important. Toothbrushes, little things. Oh man, fingernail clippers, right? Things that are metal that you can't just find anywhere, right? Scissors, fingernail clippers, things that are not metal, but toothbrushes. Like, you want to bring a few toothbrushes. If you discard your toothbrush every few months, then you have no idea how long you're going to be out there. You don't know if you're going to be out there 5 years, 10 years. I'm always going to say that. I don't want to go home for shit. I want to leave. I want people to come out and stay out. Toothbrushes, toothpaste, needle, thread. The older sewing machine, the better. Especially if you have a vehicle. I don't want poor people with no vehicle walking around the desert with a damn sewing machine. The older sewing machines are done by hand crank. That's how you sew. There's no foot electricity pedal. And if you have those, if you get those, if you bring any kind of old machinery that can be used by hand, some kind of instruction guide for repair. If you bring a whole old hand generator, see if you can find a repair manual online so you know what the parts are and how the part, that'll show how the parts fit and everything. Like, I know that sounds hard, but if you're out in the desert, you're going to be, and it breaks, you're going to be hearing these words right now and you're going to be like, oh my, so just think ahead. Think ahead, that's all. That's all. You're going to have children out there. You might have children born out there. It ain't going to hurt to grab a couple of blank notebooks, pencils, to be used in the future. People that teach, or think they might teach, bring things of what you teach. If you teach art, bring a couple art books. Just watch the dynamics of the art books so that we're not drawing pagan images and stuff like that. Just things within what we're gonna need. If you want printouts from the internet and laminating them. These are the things that I feel are important. Now, look, you guys are completely different than me. You're gonna think all this other stuff's important, and this is about survival. But if you deem something's important, it's it's up to you. Internet pages with descriptions of Egypt in America. Now, you know what I mean by that. I'm going to show you one of these, and we'll get into it later. Now, those internet pages will be very valuable. Okay. The more you're looking for entertainment, the more you're going to read. And the more you read that stuff, the more you'll understand the places that they're talking about in the writings, because they label the canyons. They label the mountains and they write about them in descriptions. Okay? Look it. I want you to understand the body of Moses, the ark, the Aztec gold. They're very important. They're side issues. They are not the goal. Please understand that. Please understand that. Web pages, you know, on things like the books I just talked to. Going to the library, printing them out. Looking at them online, sending them to your email address, going to Office Max or Staples and get them printed there and laminated. It's not too expensive. If you argue with them that someplace else, like Kinko's, only did it $1, they'll drop the price. Kinko's is not here anymore, and they know that. That means you have nowhere else to go at that price rate, and that was the true minimum. They hike the price up so they make more money because the machine's not used that much because people don't know to go there to get laminations. So, you type in temple in Grand Canyon, all kinds of videos will come up talking about mystery of the Egyptian temple in the Grand Canyons, lost ancient Egyptian city in Grand Canyon, pyramids do exist in the Grand Canyon, you know, all sorts of things. So, to say it's just a myth is just whatever. It's not a myth, it's true. You're just kept from that information because you're considered the peon. Here's a simulated weather program. When you type in different areas on this program, these people started recording. Grand Canyon Buddha Temple, Isis Temple, Shiva Temple, and it's a flight simulation for weather. Well, I think it's for weather because weather comes up on the screen. This video is already long, and I have things to do. Marble Canyon Research, Sip Upatu, Kincaid Cave, 1909. Lost civilization in the Grand Canyon found. Now listen very closely. In 1909, I said 1902? 1909. In 1909, I think it's Arthur Kincaid or something like that, he was sent to scope the river, to map the river. And what happened is he found an entrance to a cave. And he claims that he was sent by the Smithsonian, and they claim, well, he claims that when he went in, he found this lost civilization of Egyptians, and that the temple was inside the mountain, hidden by the mountain. Now, this is why the other video you see flight simulations of these temples with different names. Alright? And the program has named these things, not the author of the video. When this video starts, the program keeps these names on the tips of the mountain. There's no point in me showing you this video. The words are so small, I can barely see them. You won't see them. You pause the video right now while you see the title. You open a new page and you type in what you see, and you'll see a 3-minute and 49-second video, and you can see that video. Now I'm back to the Marble Canyon thing. Now, Kincaid claims he was sent by Smithsonian to map the river, and he stumbles upon this entrance, and inside the entrance is this temple. Now, when you go to temple in the Grand Canyon, this is what they're talking about. Now, this guy is kind of brilliant. Now watch and listen.
This is Joseph Lake Boros. and recently discovered a cave in Marble Canyon, which I believe the same cave as G.E. Kincaid had written about in 1909. And since then, there's been no traces or reporting of the cave, and the Smithsonian Institute has no record of Mr. Kincaid, so it's left to researchers and archaeologists to find any evidence of the cave. So it was revealed to me that the location of the cave would be in this area in Marble Canyon.
Now, I'm going to say this. Do you see the tip of this instrument? It's got a little speckle on it, right? I'm going to take that little speckle off. You see the tip of this instrument? See where it touches down right there? That's one tree. That's the top of one tree. When he zooms into this, the forest between the river and the mountain is outrageous. There's no way you could have saw this from the river. Something had to lead this guy in the 1900s. But listen, this is unbelievable. Watch this.
Looking at this area, it'd be hard to find anything.
Anything.
So what we need to do, if you're zooming in, zoom into Google Earth, Marble Canyon on the East Rim. Come upon this large megalithic head. Now this is a beautiful sculpture. It is 55 feet tall. You see it here. It's perfect. And
now, the first time I looked, I couldn't see it. Okay. This is the eye. This is the nose. This is the big lips. This is the big giant white beard. This is the jaw. This is where the ear would be. This is the big afro. See it right there? See that nigga head? Pretend it's a nigga on the beach. He put chalk on his nose like Baywatch. Eye, ear area. There's nothing that defines an ear. Ear area, eyeball, nose, forehead, big white beard. I ain't trying to show you the image of the creator, because the rock's not red, as he says he looks like these two stones. But that's a man with a box afro and a big afro white beard. The first time, I ain't see it. I see it right now.
This is reminiscent of Toltec.
This right here is nothing. Nothing. There's the image. Here. I put it to you like that. But if I put it to you like that, I can't box it out. You get what I'm saying? And he's facing that way. He's facing the entrance. That's how brilliant it is.
Sculpture, which makes perfect sense. And you can see why Mr. Kincaid
Damn, I couldn't see that
was under the assumption that these were Egyptian megaliths and artifacts. So we see here a huge marking. Now if we move to the right, we see another animal carving directly into the stone ravine. This is also...
Oh no, it's not. It's a little man with no arms. There's his face facing the big dude. He's wearing a bandana. This is carved into the mountain. And these is feathers. And then that's his neck. That's his shoulder. His arms are folded or something. And that's his elbow. That's his shoulder. That's his elbow. That's his elbow. Oh, he's kneeling or something. And then there's his butt. And that's a knee facing the same way. his hands would be facing. That's why I thought he had no arms and no legs. But it makes sense if he was sitting there in a position like this or something, or like that, you know, and all you see is the back of him, and you see his elbows and stuff. I'm telling you, man. See his head right there. He's like this. There's where the face is, right? There's the face. And then that's the same angle that the little man is. The little Indian man sitting there. It looked like he's sitting Indian style, and it looked like he's pictured from behind.
Tech Mesoamerican artwork. So,
but I didn't see that yesterday either.
Down the ravine, we see here a smaller entrance area. Now this entrance,
now look what they can do.
Is the
they can just move this shit around, right? Now he says this entrance, and yesterday I didn't see it, right? I'll tell you where I saw what made me decide to show you this video. When you get to that point, I'll be like, here it is. All right. He starts moving this shit around. I'm like, dude, you're fucking crazy. Excuse me. Excuse my French. Excuse my English.
Entrance exactly described by Mr. Kincaid. We see a stairway.
See, I didn't see no stairway.
We see an entrance.
I didn't see no entrance.
Here we have another megalithic carving. A plumed, exotic head. There's another megalith to the side of the cave. And here we see stone cuttings which were taken out of the cavern.
He keeps saying that, and I don't see it. Now, like I said, yesterday he said, here's the head, and I didn't see it, but today I see it. Today, when he says, here's the animal, I told yesterday I didn't see it. Today I see it's not an animal. Today I think it's a man from when I look at it from far away.
Not eroded stones because they're of uniform size. This is a plumed.
So you see he starts moving in, right? Now he said this was a doorway, right? Here, I'm gonna go back a little bit.
Here we have another megalithic carving.
Before that, this area right here. Oh.
So we move down the ravine, and we see here a smaller entrance area. Now this entrance is the entrance exactly described by Mr. Kincaid.
Now here's the part that's funny. This is an envelope. If I take an envelope and I place this against this ridge, the ridge is natural. You do not see a straight line. You do, but it does not continue. Now here's the funny little thing. When you look right here where the little cursor is, there's a straight line that ends to another straight line. That ends to another straight line. That is not a natural formation. That is a carved doorway. Now, when he's going to say here, and then he's going to go back to this, and he's going to adjust the camera more, and you're going to see exactly what I'm talking about. This is the first time you can see it's a straight line that leads to another straight line that leads to another straight line. All I'm doing is using logic. The same logic that he did to find it.
We see a stairway.
And I'm using logic to see if I can understand if he's telling the truth. Now he says you can see a stairway. The recess of the shadow, you can't see anything. You can assume he's right, and you're not going to know he's right until he shows you the doorway at a different angle.
Entrance. Here we have another megalithic carving. A plumed, exotic head.
You can see there's something right there.
There's another megalith.
Okay, what he's circling. Okay, you can see that there's some kind of image that comes here, and right here there's some kind of a hexagon shape with some kind of head, like he said right there. Like you see it, if you're standing here, it's above the doorway.
And here we see stone cuttings which were taken out of the cavern. They're not eroded stones because they're of uniform size.
I'm high. I'm what you call stoned. And I can see it. Oh, if you can't see it good or clearly, just type it, pause it, open the title on your screen, blow it up to however big you have your screen, and you can see it all. The more he zooms in, you'll see this is a doorway. And that's the most important thing in this video.
Plumed. Head. Of Kukulkan form, which would be protecting over the inhabitants. And we know that Kukulkan is Mesoamerican, and the Toltecs and the Mayans all have association with Quetzalcoatl. If we zoom out, we'll see the general area.
Oh, let's go back in there real quick.
Have association.
Now that's zoomed in pretty good. Come on, you can see that's double edge. First edge, second edge. I mean, the only image better you're gonna get is a comic book, unless you go up and take it. There's one, there's two, there's one, there's two, and you can see there's something coming up right there too. Into it. Whether that's part of the ground, where it changes, where it goes down, and then like you know, 3D perspective. We don't usually look at this view that often.
With Quetzalcoatl.
Now, this is important. This view of the layout of the land.
Zoom out, we'll see the general area in relation to the Colorado River.
Did you see that? That little dot. Think about how big a tree is.
If we zoom out, we'll see the general area in relation to the Colorado.
Look how high up the mountain he was. I'm going to try to track the doorway as he zooms out.
We'll see the general area in relation to the Colorado River.
Where the arrow is where the doorway is.
Directly up this ravine.
Directly up the ravine. You see, this ravine comes all the way down. You see how this ravine vein comes down to the river. See how it looks from far away? It looks just like a vein under the skin. Just like this one does. It looks like a vein under the skin. Right? This one comes. Look again.
Association with
I'll follow
Quetzalcoatl.
I'll follow the door again.
If we zoom out, we'll see the general area in relation.
You see the rich part of the ravine has to do with this one, right? Right here, how it comes down. See the great shadow that it makes? When the sun's in that area, nothing else makes that great of a shadow. See, even up here, dark, 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 dark. Right? This is the doorway right there.
To the Colorado River.
Alright? So this vein, we follow this vein up. And the door's right there.
It's directly up this ravine.
So watch when he zooms in. So you get a perspective of how big things are.
There are some other anomalies along the river. Here we see a point.
You can't even see one treetop by itself yet, right? And we're all the way down the mountain.
Its star shape, which is a gathering place.
This is what he's saying. This looks like it's a road. The line goes down. There's another line through there. There's another line through there. It looks like a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 pointed walkway. We call those circles here in the States, right? It's Thomas Circle, Talmadge Circle. When you go to, you know how the circles work. There's a circle of grass and a circular driveway that leads to the different roads.
These trails would lead up from the river.
You stop at your road and you yield for a break in the circle for you to get in and take the circle to which road you're going to exit in on.
To the cave entrance. And they also lead down toward Nankoweap Canyon.
So basically, this is the main. See how these trails don't exist so good over here, like from the river. This is the main trail from the river, right? You take this trail from the river and you follow this trail up till you get to the 6 point, and you go straight through the 6 point, and then you take these side trails until you take the trails up into the ravine. All this netting that's brown is dirt walkways. See the netting matches the rock over here? It's dirt and rock.
Which would show this area.
Now you can't see a treetop yet.
Now here I see a pyramid shape, a pyramid monument, and the square area here is a smaller foundation.
This guy's got a really good eye. There's literally a square. There's one edge. There's the next edge. There's the next edge. And there's the next edge. If you look in there, there's a double bevel. There's one, there's two, right? And you can see it from this angle too. But you can't see the double bevel from here because we're looking at it from an angle. We're not looking at it from the top where we would see 4 bevels.
A 2-step pyramid found also in Teotihuacan area.
That's weird. That's like a pool area or something, or like an area where a pyramid just took off, or a square ship or something. That's weird. If that's a field and it's square, fields don't grow in squares. Today we cut roads in squares to make them look square. They don't grow out here. Shit don't grow in squares like this. That's why he highlights this area. It's almost as if something was there and it's not, unless that's some area that's built that way. So one of two things: somebody was out here and they built that area that way, or something landed there, or something took off from there.
Smaller 2-step structures, but this is square in shape. Now there are some granary areas along this canyon, and we see another megalith, a carving directly in the wall of a sack, or we believe it's a grain carrying sack.
Basically it's a basket. Like somebody scratched a basket in the wall to say, you know how like you play games on your cell phone and they have symbols for what everything means? This is a symbol for what he believes is a basket for granary. So basically he's saying there are caves, and the caves are cool on the inside. So you go in and keep your food in the caves, and it's like a refrigerator.
And we believe the Toltecs had settled in this area, and it's very possible the
Okay, look. I'm not, just showing you, in another area saying, hey, wait, even though I'm saying, Moses' body, the ark, Aztec gold, they're just bait. Look at this, it's bigger, or anything like that. I'm not trying to do that. Again, time is running, long, and time is running short. I've only got so much time before I got to go to work, so much time on the tape. We need to come together as one. I'm not talking about running around stoning each other. I'm talking about building a community. Hey, if you think it makes sense to go to Atlanta and everybody move into one apartment complex and try it that way, Godspeed. Here, even the poor can make it, So, think wisely and pray. Pray. For the Lord's sake, ask the Lord what you should do. Because not everybody's going to get the same answer. I do not think everybody's going to get the same answer. I'm going to tell you right now, it's not for everybody. And some people, they're not going to get an answer, and they're just going to rely on their own opinion. And their opinion for some is going to be to go. Their opinion for some is going to be no. But that's going to be their opinion. They're not dialing in. They're not plugging in to higher. How? That's our God. They took our image to say that they are us. They all did. All of them. The nations will come saying, He's always loved you. We've had rules about what we were allowed to do to you. So, okay, that's not me prophesying. That's what it says in Revelation. This is just a different version than you've heard. You think it's one people's groups pretending to play you. The French court thing proves it's many people's groups pretending to be different versions of you. We're the France version of you, we're the English version of you, we're this, we're that. Wake up, brothers, sisters, foreigners unto us that love our Creator. Wake up. Wake up. Wake up. Wake up. Wake up. Wake up. And he gave his fortune to the Israelites once the Romans took the gold from the holy temple. Do you understand that? The Romans took everything, the candles, the plates, everything from the holy temple. And Monobeaz took his finances and replenished it. You don't hear about this in the Bible, because the New Testament is a fucking fairy tale written for the slaves. Hence, I teach you that men came over in the name of King James to take the land from you when they knew you were the Israelites. But brother, y'all not listening. You hold the King James version over the Old Testament. Books are written from left to right in English, and for some reason, all these black people skip over the beginning of the book. They only look at the table of contents to memorize the Old Testament, the order of the names. I can't help the way that you are built to worship. I'm trying to tell you where to read to worship. I can't keep telling everybody go to the Old Testament and then they just give up. I can't help that you read half a chapter and fall asleep. That's like doing push-ups and giving up. You got to do it the next day and the next day. You got to fight yourself. And this is why I say we need to go in the desert. Ain't no TVs in the fucking desert. Excuse me for those that don't want to hear no cussing, but it's necessary to reach you, and you just don't think that. Just like when I tell you to read the Old Testament for your salvation, you just don't think that. It's not about what you want to do. If it was, you would not be in this condition. I live a pretty not great life. It ain't horrible, but it ain't that great. I got so much free time. I could be doing anything to make more cheese, more bread, more money. And this is what I do with my free time. Because I'm trying to wake you up. Hey, let's play a game. Let's play a game. If y'all think I'm a prophet, I'm trying to tell you I'm not. I'm trying to tell you the prophets. If y'all think I'm the Messiah, I'm trying to tell you I'm not. You the Messiahs. God gonna tell us who the human king gonna be. I can say 1,000 times I'm king. I can say 1,000 times I'm a prophet. I can say 1,000 times I'm the Messiah. The Most High will show us otherwise. That's why I only try to show you through the scripture. Everybody's lied to us. Why the hell would I want to lie to you now? I don't need an army to dig in the desert. I need a shovel to dig in the desert. I don't need a people group to live in the desert. I need a people group to live as a tribe. I want to keep reading this. I'm sorry that I always interject and stuff like that. You know, I mean, it'd be nice if I read it straight out and then interjected afterwards, but blah, 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 blah. I'm sorry. It's just the way it is. Okay. He says, has God told you the Messiah? Now, I like how you capitalize Yeshaya, like you have respect for this thing that has no proof of existence, but you don't capitalize God. See, it's easy to psychoanalyze your writing. Look, you respect Moses, but you don't respect God. You have the same problem that most men have. Now, I'm not insulting you, brother. And if you don't feel like you have that, you know, you can debate that or argue, whatever. We have a problem with things we can't see. If you don't see your cash in your wallet, where's my money? The problem is we can't physically see God, so we don't trust that He exists. Look, I don't know how to get you to believe God exists. And don't tell me, and don't argue in your head while you're watching this, I do believe God exists. We believe in Jesus existing because people told us. It's because we say other people have seen Him. Listen, the Creator exists. Our ancestors saw the Creator. need to separate and correct ourselves. It says, as God revealed the body of Moses in the Moab desert, or is this what you have concluded from your research? This is what I've concluded from my research, sir. I will highlight this so nobody is confused. This is what I have concluded from my research. If you say God has revealed it unto you, then it is inevitable. Your search for the body of Moses must turn up results. I hear and understand you. But again, this is from my research. Now, one time, everybody said, this is what God has said. There are clues. We are to amass as a body. We are to amass as one. We ought to cleanse ourselves and then we leave. That's not taking a fucking, excuse me, that's not taking a bath. That's us working together and seeking out the animals for sacrifice on holy days. That's us living together, not killing each other. That's us teaching each other. That's the people that know Hebrew teaching us Hebrew. That's the people that know how to fish and use nets and make nets out of our own hair or whatever it takes. That's us teaching each other how to do that. That don't happen in like a 2-week camp. That don't happen in 6 months. That can't happen in a national park. We got to go somewhere where nobody's going to bother us. We got to go somewhere that's not part of the tour that's going on down there. We got to go out there and amass and teach ourselves who we were, so that way when they come to serve us papers, we can go to court with the evidence to say this is ours. We live separate. We got all this technology and nobody is working together to claim anything. I sat and I prayed. I sat and I prayed. I said something in the nature of, I need assistance in seeing if I should fight this legally. I need to understand what we should do. When I was done praying, the second I said Selah, the garbage can fell over outside. It was the recycling bin. There was only one cup in there. In the cup, it had one word that stood out. It said crunch, but the words that pointed at me said run. R-U-N. I could barely see the CH at the end. I could barely see the CH at the beginning. I mean the C at the beginning. It said crunch something something, and all that made sense was the R-U-N. It said run. R-U-N. And if you understand that, it's a little confusing. Because run means move your 2 feet. Yet if I ask for legal help, or where do I take my illegal battle, the letters that make sense is R, one word, ARE, U.N, United Nations. Now that's very interesting. Now one means run out there, and one means go to the UN and fight your fight. Now here's the thing. Ooh. Somebody asked me, does God talk to me? This guy's asking me, does God talk to me? I do not hear voices. I do not feel God talks to me. From the writings in the Old Testament, I don't feel God talks to anybody. He doesn't go both ways on this thing. I think he gives us messages. I think he gives us messages in days. He is real. We must honor and respect him. The New Testament tells you sit back and wait for this Messiah to come and destroy everything, to destroy the evil, so Judgment Day can happen. The New Testament tells you that. The Old Testament says there's going to be a king and he's going to pass clean judgment. Let me get this Bible for you. When I give this chapter and verse, you pause the everybody pause the video when I give this, and you read it right along with me. Everybody, here first, let's go to Jeremiah 31 and 31. Ready? Behold, the day is come, saith the Lord, that I will make a new covenant with the house of Israel. Did Jesus do that? Brother, we're waiting for this. And with the house of Judah, not according to the covenant I made with their fathers in that day I took them out of the hand, by hand, to bring them out of the land of Egypt. That was Moses' covenant. Do you understand that? Didn't Moses carry the Ark of the Covenant when he did that? Now, everybody stop there. Let me get this other one. Give me 1 second. Everybody turn to Jeremiah 23. Now, everybody's waiting for this Messiah to come and destroy the world, to fix it, right? But this is what the Old Testament says. This is what the prophets, the mouth of God, actually said. Jeremiah 23 and 5. Behold, the days come, saith the Lord, that I will raise unto David a righteous branch, and a king shall reign and prosper, and shall execute judgment and justice in the earth. It doesn't say on one nation, but it's got to start somewhere. It doesn't say he's going to come and destroy everything. He says execute judgment and justice. See, you've been lied to. You've got to read these prophets, these mouthpieces of the Lord. This is why everybody's reading. I don't have no edge on nobody. I've been reading the Old Testament and praying to higher. To higher. I've been smoking mad weed to regain my sanity, because living in the cities have turned me insane. Because you guys, all of the people in each city is insane. They didn't give away all their rights, all the knowledge that they've gained over thousands of years. They gave it away. Very few people know how to make butter. Every woman, almost every woman knows how to make a pie, but very few women know how to get the ingredients for a pie other than going to the store. We've lost everything. I want to go out to the desert so we can reclaim some basics. Listen, has God revealed the body of Moses in the desert? Man, are you reading this Deuteronomy? It says it's still there. Listen, Deuteronomy 34 and 6. And he buried him in a valley in the land of Moab, over against Beth Peor. But no man knoweth of his sepulchre unto this day. That means nobody's found it yet. In the Old Testament, they tell you no man knoweth unto this day. Not until this day, unto this day. That means still. Didn't they say that about the body of Lot's wife? That means out there we can find the body of Lot's wife. No, it means we can, if we work together as a team and mobilize, as a tribe. These are things we can do as activities. We need to go out there and cleanse ourselves, to learn how to think right, to be set on a righteous path. We are on a self-destructive course. We need to correct ourselves with some beliefs a lot of people don't have. I understand that. But a lot of people do have the beliefs I have. They're written, for the most part, in the Old Testament. Now, here's the thing. Literally, a lot of people carry in their hand the same beliefs that I do. They just don't carry them in their mind. Meaning they haven't read and accepted what the Old Testament says. See, brother, you said you're the leader of your household. If thy creator is the leader of heaven in his household, then he got rules. His rules is in the Old Testament. There's not one rule told to you in the New Testament. That's why I'm telling you, the Old Testament is the testimony. The New Testament is a test. The Old Testament, the first thing the Ten Commandments say, no other God. First thing New Testament say, there's another God. See the controversy there? Listen, brother, you say you are the leader of your household. If you say to your household, I don't want any men in my house when I'm away at work. That's what you say. If I come and knock on your door, your family doesn't see me on TV. Y'all don't watch me like a TV show. If I come to your house and you're at work and they let me in, they done broke your first freaking rule, haven't they? No men in my house when I'm not here. And they just let me in. Well, it's not a man, it's lexwill. That's the same thing that the Christians and Catholics try to say to you about Jesus. What's the Son of God? No, I'm not comparing myself to the Son of God. I'm just equating something that you can understand. I'm not, two separate things. Get what I'm saying? Let's say you love Farrakhan, but you still lay down that rule at your house. No men in my house when I'm gone. And you go away to work. Even if you've talked to your wife, let's say your son answered the door, and he like, oh wow, it's Farrakhan. We've been watching you for years. Come on in, sir. The excitement of this has pushed all your rules aside. The excitement of Jesus Christ and his warriors coming and putting swords to our throats, hanging us from trees, tying us to posts and beating us for days in front of everybody, day and night, getting drunk and switching people that hold the whip. This has forced you to love Jesus. God's Messiah is a destroyer that's going to come and destroy wickedness. You get what I'm saying? And they done turned it into loving Jesus Christ. The most important words of Jesus: I have not come as your friend. I've come to destroy your home. I've come to bring division. I've come to divide your mind. I'm sorry that's misquoted, but in those words you can understand what the scripture says, right? Right. I've come to bring a sword. Now, he states, has God told you the Messiah has not came and Yahshua is a lie? First off, man, who is Yahshua? Okay? Secondly, there's no evidence that Jesus lived. There's evidence James lived. There's evidence Jude lived. There's no evidence Jesus lived. Jude tells you himself his mother Mary only had 2 children. Well, how is Jude and James brothers, but they got a third brother named Jesus? Brother, if you study outside of the Bible, the historians that have written books for you to be wise for, they've already expressed that James is Jesus. But brother, you're not listening. Them that say they are Jews and are not, the ones that first moved on to our soil during Roman times, the Sumerians, they call themselves the Ashkenazi today. They wrote themselves about somebody called Monobaeus, that was an Edomite king of a place called Edessa. You can pronounce it with an E, or you can pronounce it with an O for Odessa. His name was Monobaeus. He was Hebrew, but he was not an Israelite. He was an Edomite. Alright, hey, how's everybody doing? I hope you're doing okay. It is Friday. It's a little bit after noon, after 12 noon. I wanted to come on and I wanted to talk to you about a few things and talk to you about logic and reason and responsibility. Alright? Now this lesson is more for the mature. Immature people will not understand. This is more for the older people. Alright? Now I want to read a letter to you. We're going to start with reading a letter. Alright, so that's what it sounds like now, since I don't have carpet. Okay. How do I do this? It is from a person, and this isn't a made up person, this isn't a made up letter, it's from a person. And he says this, and I'm gonna say this. This is why I always tell you, if you watch these videos, watch with your significant other. If you're married, watch with your partner. Watch with your wife. Watch with your husband. If you're dating, watch with that person. If you're making babies with someone and you have not bound your lives together legally as well, you should be watching with that person. If you live with people that are in your family, you should be watching with that person, even if you don't have an intimate relationship on that level. If you live with your dad, you should probably be watching with him, so you guys have the same beliefs, same goals. You live in your household for a reason. If you live with your mom, if you live with your grandma, it would help, because then you have the same goals, the same agenda. That way, if you're trying to honor the Sabbath, they're trying to honor the Sabbath. So me and my household are on the same level. So it's Friday and everybody's doing everything they can so that they can rest tomorrow. Since our enemy who enslaved us, we don't go around picking our enemies. Our enemies picked us. Our enemy who enslaved us chose Sunday and chooses to push Sunday law. So we will, my household, we will honor, 7 day. And until we're out in a tent that we can study in the stars, then we will honor, as Enoch is trying to show. And I'm just talking about me and my household. Excuse me. Okay, it says, hey Lex, short time listener here, but my wife follows a lot of your videos. Alright, and that's why I tell you all the time, gotta watch. It's better to watch together. Then you both learn the same thing. He says, at this point, with all the people on YouTube spreading everything under the sun, remember the Bible says all knowledge will be released in the last days, right? With all people on YouTube spreading everything under the sun, I feel the need to ask a few questions. My wife and I are at... Oh, this is hard because I don't want it to go too far up. Doesn't look too far down, huh? My wife and I are at odds over the Messiah. Okay, that's clear. We clash over this, a lot over this. As the leader of my household, it's respectful, I feel responsible to test all things and prove what is true. Right on. He says, you have a lot of mind-blowing information. I understand people feel that way. But the thing is I don't have the information. You got to understand, I don't have the information. The information is hidden today from the past. As I release it, I fulfill a quote. Not a prophecy, a quote. The quote is, he who controls the past controls the future. Now that I'm controlling the past in my mind and in your minds, I can sculpt the future for us. Listen, man, this is honestly what it is. People are saying right now, the quote is, it is what it is. Bull crap. It is what we make it. If you get up and make toast, and you sit down and say, and somebody says, toast, you go, what? It is what it is. It's toast. If you get up and make a big breakfast, and somebody comes in and says, and you got some for them, and they go, wow, big breakfast. Nobody goes, it is what it is. There's too much excitement. People say, it is what it is, for bad things. We didn't prepare, or we didn't blah, 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 so it is what it is. So it says, you have a lot of mind-blowing information. The only test is what you say to be true. Okay? You carry